everybody. This is Brian.
Jason.
And this is the Perfectly Screwed Podcast. If you have not listened to episode 127, it was part 1 on Lucky Luciano. This is going to be part 2. So if you haven't listened to 127 yet, please go back and listen to 127. That way you don't get lost and don't know where the fuck we are. We would appreciate that, and you have a lovely afternoon. Let's go Buffalo, huh? Do we need to talk about the Bills, Jason? I mean, they almost made it last year.
No, not really. I mean,
They almost did, but
we're still in the preseason, so
they almost made it last year. They came close. They hadn't fucked up. They hadn't fucked up. Buddy.
Wait till next year, Brian. It's one of the,
You're just hoping every year they get at least to the bowl, huh? Every year? We trying? Do they have a good team this year? I don't know. I don't follow Buffalo.
They should.
So.
They should. I mean, they've been pretty good for the last, 5-6 years.
You know who looks good this year is the Browns.
Browns could have a good team.
They just need a quarterback. Their quarterback is not the greatest, but the rest of their team is pretty amazing.
Right.
They have a great defense. Offense is shaping up nicely, but their quarterback is trash. I think the Lions have a great shot this year again. So
Lions do have a good team.
Yes, they do. Yes, Green Bay can make it again too if they stop.
It's all about the Chiefs, man. You got to beat the Chiefs.
Yeah, that's true.
That's all there is to it.
Yeah, isn't that who took Green Bay out last year? Wasn't it the Chiefs?
49ers.
Oh, was it the 49ers? You're right. It was the 49ers, and the 49ers shouldn't have.
No.
They could have won that game.
Packers had them beat.
Yeah, they had that game, and they fucked off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, unfortunately. So where did the Bills go last year? Did they even make it to the playoffs?
Yeah, they got beat by the Chiefs.
Oh, that's right. That's
in the
right.
second round, yeah.
Yeah.
27-24. Can't beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. That's just what it boils down to.
Well, the Chiefs have had an amazing team for the last few years. So didn't they win the bowl last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
They've won 2 in a row.
Yeah. And probably this year they'll make it 3 in a row. Just saying.
You're the champs until you get knocked off.
Yeah.
And they got Taylor Swift.
They do have Taylor Swift. Well, they have her boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for now, anyways. I'm sure she'll break up with him very, very soon and write a whole album about him.
She's got to keep the songs coming somehow.
Yeah. She's got to break up with him very, very soon. They've been going out way too long.
Right.
She's got to break up with him for new material. I mean,
it only makes sense.
It's got to, yeah. She's got to break up with him and then trash him in media and talk about how he slapped his balls on her ass and all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
So we can't have
the stuff we want to hear.
Yeah, right.
Of course.
Right. You broke my heart when you slapped your balls on my ass. Yes, okay.
Yeah.
So, anyways, back to what we're really talking about.
What a beautiful song, too.
Yeah, I know. Taylor does have some amazing work under her belt.
Yes, she does.
Yes. Especially under her skirt. She has such amazing work, from what I've heard. Anyways, that's enough of that. Enough about Taylor Swift's ass for this episode.
Our new single hits, ball slapping.
Ball slapping. Yes. I wanted them in my face, but he slapped them on my ass. Okay.
Oh, God.
So we were talking about Lucky Luciano. That's what we're going to call him for the next episode. Luciano. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to offend any Italians in the audience. I apologize now for my horrible Italian accent. I don't think for the rest of the episode I should do that. I'm going to offend the Italian community.
Well.
Luciano. Okay, that's how I'm going to pronounce his name this whole episode. Luciano. Okay, so so he had just to get back to where we were. He just killed Masseria. Masseria. Masseria, that's how you say that. Thank you. Masseria. He had just killed Masseria, who was the head of a crime family, and he basically became the lieutenant. He became Marzano's lieutenant, and he ended the Castellamarias War. Ooh, that's the first time I actually said that word correctly. Castellamarias.
Nice.
So with Masseria gone, Marzano reorganized the Italian-American gangs in New York City into what we know as the modern five families, which was headed by Luciano Profaci, Galliano, Vincent Mangano, and himself. So it was Luciano, Profaci, Gagliano, Mangano, and Maranzano. Yeah, okay, you got it.
Right.
So he called a meeting of the crime bosses in Wappingers Falls, New York. Man, even the names in New York are crazy.
Yeah.
Wappingers? Who the fuck names a town Wappingers?
They do have some crazy names.
Wappingers, New York.
Right.
Wappingers Falls. Where the fuck did... That's got to be an old Indian name for a waterfall. It's got to be. Because that in no way, shape, or form is any kind of English name. Wappingers? It's got to be a fucking, like, ancient Indian dialect.
It beats me.
Gotta be. Anyways, so he declared himself at this meeting Capo di tutti capi, the boss of all bosses. He said, look, I'm going to start these five families, but I'm the head of all you five motherfuckers.
Right.
All right? Y'all going to answer to me. All right? Now, yeah, y'all got some power. Okay, I'll give you a little bit here, a little bit there,
Yeah.
but I'm the head.
End of the day.
End of the day, you come talk to daddy.
Right.
All right? Everything goes through daddy. So Maranzano also whittled down the rival families' rackets in favor of his own. Luciano appeared to accept these changes, but was actually merely biding his time before he could remove Maranzano. And when we say remove, we mean shoot in the face.
Yeah.
That's how you remove somebody. We're not talking about he bumped him out of the board. We're not talking about he was voted out. No.
He's fucking dead.
Took a 22 and fucking blew his fucking brains all over the floor.
Right.
Although Maranzano was slightly more forward-thinking than Masseria, Luciano had come to believe that Maranzano was even greedier and more hidebound than Masseria had ever been. By September 1931, Maranzano realized Luciano was a threat and hired a guy named Vincent the Mad Dog Cole, an Irish gangster, to kill him. Well, you know what? That's a good name for a fucking assassin.
I don't want to fuck with nobody named Mad Dog, dude.
Yeah. His whole name just sounds like he would rip your face off.
Yeah.
Like Vincent,
Like
Mad Dog Cole. That sounds like a big Irish motherfucker who would dislocate your head from your shoulders immediately.
with fucking smile on his
Yeah.
face.
Not even, yeah. Like he would take no problem just... He doesn't even sound like he'd use a weapon. He'd just come up while you're on the street and just rip your face right off.
Just grab you fucking...
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 hands on the side of your head.
Yeah, just crank.
And just fucking rip your goddamn head off.
Yeah.
And then just throw it.
Yeah. There it is. Fatality.
Fucking head.
Fatality.
Head just fucking rolling around in the street.
Vincent Mad Dog Cole wins.
Yeah.
Fatality.
I don't fuck with him.
So, however, Lucchese alerted Luciano about what was going on. He said, hey, dude, you know.
Mad Dog's
Yeah,
fucking
Mad
on.
Dog's on.
Mad Dog's on the fucking... He's growling.
So, on September 10th, Maranzano ordered Luciano Genovese and Costello to come to his office at the Hemsley building in Manhattan. Convinced that Maranzano planned to murder them, Luciano decided to act first. He sent Maranzano's office 4 Jewish gangsters whose faces were unknown to Maranzano's people. They had been secured with the aid of Lansky and Segal, disguised the government agents. 2 of the gangsters disarmed Maranzano's bodyguards. The other 2, aided by Lucchese, who was there to point out who Maranzano was, stabbed the boss multiple times, and then they shot him. That's the way you do it, baby.
Yeah.
That's the way you do it. The assassination was the first of what would be later fabled as the Night of Sicilian Vespers. Several days later, on September 13th, the corpses of 2 of other Marzano's allies, Samuel Monaco and Luis Russo, were retrieved from New York Bay, showing evidence of torture. Meanwhile, Joseph Siragusa, leader of the Pittsburgh crime family, was shot to death in his home. The October 15th disappearance of Joe Artigiani, head of the Los Angeles family, would later be regarded as part of the alleged plan to quickly eliminate the old world Sicilian bosses. However, the idea of an organized mass purge directed by Luciano was debunked as myth, although it actually probably happened.
Right.
And see, again, we go back to the movies, how the movies imitate life with this. Because if you look at the end of The Godfather, that's what Michael does. He kills all the 5 family heads so he can consolidate all his power under him. And that, again, is directly taken from what Luciano actually did.
Yeah.
Like, Luciano did that shit. That you watching The Godfather, you're thinking, oh, this is just a fictional story. Right. No. There was a real guy that did exactly what is portrayed in that movie.
Yeah.
In one night, he said, we're all getting together, and he organized all these gangsters. He said, we're taking out all these old motherfuckers.
Yeah.
All right? We're tired of being under them. We're tired of sharing this fucking money with these motherfuckers. So what we're going to do is we're all going to get together.
If they're going to plot
and
to kill me,
out.
I'm going to take them out first.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, he didn't just take them out. Like, he could have just took Marciano or whatever his name was out. And that would have ended the plot to kill him. No, he went one step further. He took him out. He took the dude in Pittsburgh out. He took all the rest of the New York families out. And then he went to L.A. and took that motherfucker out.
Yeah.
All right, he's like, nah. None of you motherfuckers are having any power. All of you are going to answer to Lucky Luciano. That's who the fuck is going to run this motherfucker.
Right.
Fuck all y'all bitches.
Yeah.
Just taking all y'all out in one fell swoop and we're done. And he pulled it off.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, with the death of Marzano, Luciano became the dominant crime boss in the United States. He was the head crime boss in the United States. He had reached the pinnacle of the top of the underworld in the United States, setting policies and directing activities along with the other mafia bosses. His own crime family controlled lucrative criminal rackets in New York City. He controlled illegal gambling, extortion, bookmaking, loan sharking, and drug trafficking throughout all of New York City and all the state of New York. So yeah. If he was the guy you had to go through to do any of it.
Yeah.
He became very influential in the labor union activities and controlled the Manhattan waterfront, garbage hauling. He controlled construction. He controlled the garment district and trucking. I mean,
damn.
At that point, he controls the whole damn city.
Yeah.
He controls every business in the city. What are you going to do? I mean, the only way you're getting any kind of garments made or ships coming in, and he controls trucking too. So the only way you're getting anything is to go through this guy. I mean, if you're a business owner, you have no choice but to go through Luciano to get anything.
Yep.
If you want to work in the city of New York, guess what?
You're working for him.
You're working for Luciano,
Yeah.
right? Even if you're running a legitimate business,
Yeah.
you're still working for Luciano.
Man, that's crazy.
Even though there would have been few objections if he had declared himself the bosses of all bosses, he actually abolished the title, believing the position created trouble between the families, and that would make him a target for other ambitious challengers. Instead, Luciano chose to quietly maintain control through the commission, which is actually another very intelligent move. He didn't say, hey, I'm the head boss. Look at me, look at me. What he said is, hey, I'm just a guy on the criminal commission. I'm just one of you guys, just like everybody else. Everybody got a vote.
Yep.
Even though, really, it was still all going through Luciano.
Right.
Right. But he made it seem like they all had a say in what was going on. That way, nobody decided, hey, I'm going to take this motherfucker out.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's genius.
Yeah. And he started forging unofficial alliances with other bosses. Although he didn't discard all of the changes, he believed that the ceremony of becoming a made man in a crime family was a Sicilian tradition and should be upheld. However, Genovese persuaded Luciano to keep the title of a made man, arguing that young people needed rituals to promote obedience to the family. He also remained committed to the oath of silence to protect the families from legal prosecution. In addition, he kept the structure of the 5 crime families in New York City, even though he was the head of all of them. Luciano elevated his most trusted Italian associates to high-level positions in what was now the Luciano crime family. Genovese became his underboss, and Costello became his his attorney. Adinus, Michael the Trigger Mike Capella, Anthony Strollo, Willie Moretti, and Anthony Carfiano all served as underbosses under Genovese. Because Lansky and Segal were non-Italians, neither man could hold official positions with any mafia family. However, Lansky was a top advisor to Luciano, and Segal was his trusted associate. Later in 1931, Luciano called a meeting in Chicago with various bosses where he proposed a commission to serve as the governing body for organized crime inside Chicago, designed to settle all disputes and decide which families controlled which territories. The commission had been called Luciano's greatest innovation. Luciano's goal with the commission were to quietly maintain his own power over all families across the United States and to prevent future gang wars. The bosses in Chicago approved the idea of the commission and made Luciano their head crime boss. Yeah! So now, not only has he got New York, but now he's controlling Chicago and Philadelphia, and he's got connections in L.A. This motherfucker's nationwide now. Yeah. He's not just controlling crime through one city. He's controlling crime across the whole country. Yep. Look, you want something done, come talk to Luciano, baby. He's the only one going to talk to you. All right?
Wow.
Uh-huh.
And it has more money than God.
Oh, yeah. At this point, he had more money than most billionaires do nowadays.
Yeah.
The commission was originally composed of representatives of the 5 families in New York and the Buffalo crime family and the Chicago outfit. Later, they included the crime families of Philadelphia and Detroit and added them to the commission. The commission also provided representation for the Jewish criminal organizations in New York and other cities across the country. The group's first test came in 1935 when it ordered Dutch Schultz to drop his plans to murder Special Prosecutor Thomas E. Dewey. Luciano argued that a Dewey assassination would precipitate a massive law enforcement crackdown. The National Crime Syndicate had enacted a hard and fast rule stating that law enforcement and prosecutors were never to be harmed. An enraged Schultz said he would kill Dewey anyways and walked out of the meeting. Murder Incorporated leader Albert Anastasia approached Luciano with information that Schultz had asked him to stake out Dewey's apartment building on Fifth Avenue. Upon hearing the news, the commission held a discreet meeting to discuss the matter. After 6 hours of deliberation, the commission ordered a guy named Lepke Buchalter to eliminate Schultz. On October 23, 1935, before he could kill Dewey,
yeah,
Schultz,
so you try to do fucking something against what Luciano's wishes, you're fucking dead,
yeah.
dude.
So in 1935, before he could kill Dewey, Schultz was shot in a tavern in New York, New Jersey, and succumbed to his injuries the following day. Yeah. Basically, what he told Schultz was, look, you're not killing a prosecutor, bud. You're going to bring the law enforcement, the FBI, and everybody on our ass.
Yep.
We don't need this shit. And Schultz was like, I'm going to kill him anyways. Fuck you.
Yeah.
And walked out of the meeting. He said, okay, that's what you say. All right, we got you.
All right, then.
Yep. Tried to reason with you, motherfucker,
Right.
but you don't want to be reasonable, so guess what? Boom, boom, boom. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. That's what happened.
We play by the fucking rules or get
Yeah.
fucking killed.
Yeah,
That's
you either
basically
listen
it
to what
boils down
Luciano
Yeah.
says, or,
And that's how they operated.
yeah,
It really was.
yeah,
Like you said earlier, I mean, tradition, honor, dignity.
yeah. And you were told, you could ask something from a boss. If the boss said no, you either went with that,
Right.
or they took care of your ass. So you have a choice. You either do
It's
what
not
you
like they
fucking
wanted
told.
to kill the motherfucker.
No.
It took 6 hours of deliberation to finally come to that conclusion. But
Well, not only that, they warned him.
right,
They were very clear about it.
told him not to do it.
They said, no, it's not okay. Don't be doing dumb shit. Because this ain't about you. This is about all of us, motherfucker.
Right,
All right? I don't care if you got a problem with this guy.
right. And now we ain't just running from the New York law enforcement. Now we're running from fucking law enforcement across this country.
Well, see, that's the thing. Like, they could pay off prosecutors
Yeah.
and judges and the New York City and Pittsburgh. They could pay off the local guys.
Sure.
See what I'm saying? They had them in their pockets. But when you start killing these motherfuckers, now you've got the FBI looking at you. You got law enforcement agencies that you don't want looking into your affairs. And you're also pissing off the people that you're paying. They're no longer
To
going to
keep
be
you out of trouble.
Yeah, they're no longer be cool with you if you start offing them.
Sure.
So he was smart about that. He's like, look, we can't be killing these motherfuckers. We can pay them off because they're cool with that. But if we shoot them, they're not going to be cool with us paying them anymore. There's
Right.
not enough money I can provide to stop them from coming in here and fucking getting pissed.
Right.
So,
And if you didn't know, Dutch,
yeah.
what we're doing is illegal, buddy.
Yeah, if you didn't catch on,
I don't know
Yeah.
if you know how this operation's working.
everything we're doing is illegal.
Right.
Right. We're not supposed to be doing
We're not supposed to
anything.
be doing this.
Right. So if you could just, not kill the prosecutor that happened to piss you off today, we'd really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And he goes, fuck you.
Fuck no.
Okay.
No.
Well, yeah. Bye-bye.
Fuck me, yeah.
Yeah.
fuck
I got
me.
you.
All right.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, it's cool. So during the early 1930s, Luciano's crime family started taking over small-scale prostitution operations in New York City. In Jordan, guys. Yeah, take a shot, please. If you don't know about the drinking game, look at the earlier episodes. You'll learn. In June of 1935, New York Governor Herbert H. Lehman appointed a U.S. attorney as a special prosecutor to combat organized crime in the city. Well, at least somebody was starting to take notice.
Right.
So Dewey's assistant attorney led an investigation into prostitution racketeering that connected Luciano in New York to the prostitution network. They investigated the flow of money in the New York-New Jersey prostitution network and begun to build a case of prostitution racketeering founded on evidence from interviews with prostitutes and wiretaps. On February 2nd, 1936, Dewey authorized a raid on 200 brothels in Manhattan and Brooklyn, earning him nationwide recognition as a major gangbuster. Dewey took measures to prevent police corruption from impeding the raids. He assigned 160 police officers outside the Vice Squad to conduct the raids. The officers were instructed to wait on street corners until they received orders minutes before the raids began. 16 men and 87 women were arrested. However, unlike previous vice raids, the arrests were not released but taken to Dewey's office, where Judge Philip J. McCook set minimum bails of $10,000 apiece, far beyond the means for them to pay. Carter then built trust with many of the arrested prostitutes and madams. He convinced many to testify rather than serve additional jail time. By mid-March, several defendants had implicated Luciano. 3 of the prostitutes identified Luciano as the ringleader, and his associate David Bettolo and Thomas Pacino. They ultimately reported that they were ringleaders. In March 1936, Luciano received a tip that he was going to be arrested, and he fled to Hot Springs, Arkansas. But a New York detective in Hot Springs on a different assignment spotted Luciano and notified Dewey. That's bad luck right there.
Yeah.
His luck started to run out there later on in life, didn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. On April 3rd, Luciano was arrested in Hot Springs on a criminal warrant from New York and was charged with 90 counts of compulsory prostitution. But anyways, as we spoke to earlier, he got out of it and was sent back basically to Sicily. But at first he was sent to prison, so he kept running his crime family from prison, relaying his orders through acting boss Gino Visi. In 1937, Gino Visi fled to Naples to avoid a murder indictment in New York, so Luciano appointed Costello as new acting boss and overseer of Luciano's interests. So he was first at Sing Sing in New York, and then in 1936 he was moved to Clinton Correctional Facility in Dannemora, a remote facility far away from New York. At Clinton, Bellatio prepared special dishes for Luciano in a kitchen set aside by authorities. Luciano was assigned a job in the prison laundry. Luciano then used his influence and to get materials to build a church at the prison, which became famous for being one and only freestanding church in New York State correctional system. And also for the fact that the church's altar are 2 of the original doors from the Victoria ship, the Ferdinand Magellan. He kept appealing, and in 1938 the U.S. Supreme Court refused to review his case. At this point, Luciano stepped down as the family boss, and Costello formally replaced him. So then during World War II, the U.S. government struck a deal with imprisoned Luciano. In 1942, the Office of Naval Intelligence was concerned about German and Italian agents entering the U.S. through the New York waterfront. They also worried about sabotage in these facilities. Knowing that the Mafia controlled the waterfront, the U.S. Navy contacted Lansky about a deal with Luciano to facilitate negotiations. Luciano was transferred to Great Meadow Correctional Facility in Comstock, New York, which was much closer to New York City. Luciano a wretched deal in exchange for commuting his sentence. Luciano promised to complete assistance of his organization in providing intelligence to the U.S. Navy. So basically what he did was he made a deal with the U.S. Naval Department and said, look, if I provide intelligence about who's coming in to New York Harbor, if it's Germans or Italians, anybody you would suspect agents, you're going to commute my sentence and send me back to Sicily, which is exactly what they did.
Right.
So they took him back to Sicily, and then in 1946, he actually relocated to Havana, Cuba. And he was still running his family, though. This is the funny part. He stepped down, but he was still running the family from Sicily, and then he moved to Havana, Cuba, and was running the family from there. And then he was operating, after his secret trip to Cuba, he spent the rest of his life in Italy under tight police surveillance. When he arrived in Genoa in 1947, Italian police arrested him and sent him to jail in Palermo for jumping to Cuba when he wasn't supposed to. On May 11th, a regional commission in Palermo warned Luciano to stay out of trouble and released him. In 1949, police in Rome arrested Luciano as suspicious of involvement in shipping narcotics to New York.
Damn.
You know what? You can't stop this guy. You just can't. On July 15th, after a week in jail, he was released without them filing any charges. But they banned him permanently from visiting Rome. In 1951, he was questioned by Naples police on suspicion of illegally bringing $57,000 in cash and a new American car into Italy, but there were no charges. In 1952, the Italian government finally revoked his passport after complaints from the U.S. and Canadian law enforcement that he was flying into U.S. and Canada to still run organized crime businesses. In 1954, the Italian Judicial Commission in Naples applied strict limits on Luciano for 2 years. He was required to report to police every Sunday, to stay home every night, and not to leave Naples without police permission. The commission cited Luciano's alleged involvement in the narcotics trade as the reasons for these restrictions. So in 1962, Luciano died of a heart attack in Naples International Airport. He had gone to the airport to meet with American producer Martin Ghosh about a film based on his life. Luciano had previously refused to authorize the film, but reportedly relented after the death of his longtime lover, Iga Lissoni. After the meeting with Ghosh, Luciano had a heart attack and died. He was unaware the Italian drug agents had followed him to the airport in anticipation on arresting him on drug smuggling charges. 3 days later, 300 people attended a funeral service for Luciano in Naples. His body was taken along the streets of Naples in a horse-drawn black hearse. With permission from the U.S. government, Luciano's relatives took his body back to New York for burial. He was buried in St. John's Cemetery in Middle Village, Queens. More than 2,000 mourners attended his funeral. Gambino, Luciano's longtime friend, gave his eulogy. The films that came from Luciano, one of them was Marked Woman, 1937. It was a fictionalized version of Dewey's successful prosecution of Luciano. The Dewey character was played by Humphrey Bogart, and the Luciano character was played by Eduardo Cellini. Then Deported, 1950, a story based about a character based on Luciano and played by Jeff Chandler. The Valenci Papers, 1972, was about Luciano. Lucky Luciano, 1973. Luciano was portrayed by Gianni Mari Valenti. Lepke, Luciano was portrayed by Vic, and this was 1975, by Vic Tayback. Brass Target in 1978. The Cotton Club in 1984. Mobster 1991. Bugsy 1991. And Billy Bathgate 1991. The Outfit 1993. Sleepers 1996. Hoodlum 1997. The Godfather Story for TV 1999. Lansky 1999. The Real Untouchables 2001. Lansky 2021. Luciano's life was also based on the TV series The Untouchables from 1959 to 1962 and 1993 to 1994, and The Witness 1960 to 1961. Also, Boardwalk Empire was a Luciano TV show from 2010 to 2014. There has been numerous books. There's even been a video game, A3, in 2017.
What a life.
I'm saying. And, you know, I hate to publicize organized crime because it is organized crime. Let's put it that way. But the thing is, this man, yeah, he was a criminal, but he was a genius.
Yeah.
The things he did and the way he organized all these criminal organizations into one, nobody else could have done that.
Right.
And he was responsible for a national crime syndicate that spanned the whole United States. You know, and whether you say, yeah, he was a gangster, yeah, he was a criminal, yeah, he was participating in illegal activities, I get that. Okay, I get it. But some of the things he was doing were only legal at the time. I mean, you think about, first of all, prostitution shouldn't be illegal at all. It's dumb.
Right.
Okay, it doesn't hurt anybody. Okay, it should be a regular business. Gambling now is pretty much a regular business all across the country.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the alcohol trade is now big business. So really, you know, criminal is only depending on the time period you're talking about.
Sure.
Really. What was a crime then is not necessarily a crime now. And if you look at it, all these big major organizations that you look at, like Budweiser, Jim Beam, Jack Daniels, all of these. Okay, Jim Beam was started in 1876, Jim Beam. Jack Daniels, 1800s. Budweiser, 1800s. What did they do during Prohibition? Because clearly they survived to become businesses in the 1930s.
Right.
So clearly they were still making Jim Beam and Jack Daniels illegally when Prohibition was going on.
Sure.
So, I mean, yeah, for a very small time period, these were legal operations, but now these are corporations that are multi-billion-dollar corporations. So it just depends on the time period you're in, whether something's illegal or not.
Mm-hmm.
What you consider a crime, like okay, 20, 30 years ago, the sale of marijuana anywhere in the United States would have been a crime. There was tons of gangsters and gangs involved in the sale and distribution of marijuana across this country. Now, you fast forward 30 years, and most of it is legal. It's a completely illegal operation in most states.
Yeah.
So again, it just depends on what time period you're in, whether something's illegal and you're a crime boss or whether you're a businessman. It's just interchangeable, you know. Now, given his tactics were a little different than most businessmen.
Right, of course.
I mean, he shot people and killed them.
But it's also why he's so famous.
Right. And he was also one of the most major crime bosses in the U.S. I mean, he was. And he was probably the most brilliant crime boss there was. I mean, he was in Italy still running the crime family. He was in Cuba still running the crime family. He was in prison still running the crime family. And that's why all these movies are either loosely or directly based on his life.
Sure.
Because he just did things that no other crime boss pulled off.
Right.
And it's because he was genius. I mean, really.
Yeah.
He was. Well, hope you liked this episode on Lucky Luciano. It ran a bit long, but that was part 2, and we will see you next time.
Later.